Welcome to this edition of Safety First. I'm your host, Tim Butler. As we start to prepare for the beginning of another school year, today we're going to be talking about some of the do's and don'ts concerning school safety. Today I'm here with Sergeant Andre Sparks and Officer Nicole Hayward. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well, yourself.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, with summer coming to an end and a new school year getting ready to start, what are some of the safety tips that we may have kind of forgotten about over the summer?
Well, Tim, one of the biggest concerns we have as for safety and back to school is the operation of our school buses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's vital that all the members of our community are aware of, procedures, and we all play a vital part in the safety of the school buses, from the school division themselves providing trained and adequate drivers, the drivers themselves operating within the specific guidelines, even the parents having discussions with the kids about how they can conduct themselves on the bus, following the rules of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is that concerning the safety of the kids, and it helps with the safe operation of the school buses. And one thing we kind of often forget, that if those kids violate those rules and be put off the bus, then it could be an undue strain on the parents to get the kids to school because they're put off the bus. The kids also have a vital role in even their safe travels back and forth to the school, taking the safest route, being mindful of vehicles that might be loitering around the school bus area, things of that nature. And then, as we said before, as far as being on the school bus, following the rules, sitting in their seats, and not horse playing, hanging out of the window, throwing objects out of the window. Then upon the arrival at school, the school division, the schools, individual schools themselves, receiving the kids in a safe manner, also dismissing the kids in the afternoon. And then we as the police department, enforcing the rules. And that's where the citizens come in. It's imperative that they understand that if they approach a stopped school bus in any direction, they should come to a complete stop and remain at a complete stop, a good distance away. Ideal is 10 feet or more away from the school bus, and they should remain stopped until that school bus either loads or unloads the kids and the school bus is moving. One thing that if it's a four-way intersection, all those vehicles at the intersection should remain at a stop until that school bus can safely move forward.
Start going again.
Yes.
And so, as to piggyback off of what you're saying, also with them getting on and off, they need to just be paying attention for those kids that maybe not paying attention to anything else, but are in their own little world and maybe looking down and kind of darting across the street instead of like watching everything.
Exactly, and especially the first couple of weeks back to school, the drivers might not necessarily understand and know that school is starting again and not paying attention to the kids running around, and then the kids are going to be excited themselves, once they enter and exit the bus. A lot of times, they're excited to get off the bus and run home and tell about their day at school and things of that nature. So it's definitely imperative that the motorists watch out for the school buses.
With that in mind, do you think that it's wise for motorists, when they're getting ready to leave to go to work or something like that, with the school year starting up again, to know if there's a route on their way in? If so, then maybe leave work or leave to go to work a couple minutes early to try to alleviate some of the waiting time, or trying the rush of I've got to get there, I wish these kids would hurry up and get on and get off kind of thing.
Right. It's definitely because again, if some of the parents don't have school age kids and they're not aware that school is starting again, and then sometimes people do wait to the last minute getting that fresh cup of coffee or what have you, and when they take off and leave, with not enough time to get to work, they might be in a hurry, and then, as you said, if they turn the corner and there's a school bus there, and even if that school bus is just stopped with the flashers activated and the sign activated and no kids are in the immediate area, they still have to remain stopped. That's not a good time to dart around the car. Likewise, being distracted, and it's especially imperative again at this time not to be operating cell phones and other electronic devices in the car, not paying attention, because as that school bus might be waiting, again, moving back into the school year, some of the parents might not have the time down packed, and the little kids
Right.
are out and about running to the bus to get on the bus at the last minute, and that's where, we don't want to have a tragic accident.
Thank you for those tips, Sergeant Sparks. Now, Officer Hayward, I know that you'd like to kind of talk with us a little bit about bullying and maybe some social media kind of aspect.
Yes, sir. Being a school resource officer, there's a lot of things that we deal with throughout the day. Some of the things could be the bullying, cyberbullying, which will be the social media aspect, the Facebook and the Instagram and the Snapchat and the Kik. Whereas the kids are befriending other children just to later say something that may not be so nice, and it ultimately means that they're now bullying them through social media. Another thing that me being an SRO that I deal with is bomb threats being made, whether it's communication through a note, if they're writing on something. We have to investigate those, and the chances are that someone can be charged with making that threat.
Okay. So those things are taken very seriously. It's not a joke. It's not something where someone could try to do that and try to get away with something, like to get out of school for a little bit of time or to get out of a test. It's a real deal. It's something that they will get in serious trouble for.
Yes. Upon investigation, if we have someone that has made the threat, we will, pursue a charge on them, and there's that potential that they will have to go before a judge to answer to that charge.
Okay.
And Tim, in those situations, that a lot of times the individual offenders, after the investigation is concluded, they will say that, oh, it was just a practical joke, or I was just playing. But in the eyes of the investigators, it's not just a practical joke. It's not just playing. A lot of staffing hours across a lot of different agencies are involved with investigating the seriousness of those offenses, and we don't just take it lightly as it wasn't a joke, especially in this the climate of the schools today across the country, with school shootings and different things of that nature. They're investigated thoroughly, and we do seek charges to the fullest extent. It's not to per se punish a kid, but we just have to take safety seriously in those events.
Gotcha. With the aspect, I want to circle back around to something you talked about with bullying. If someone is being bullied, what are some of the things that they may need to do?
Well, if a student is being bullied, obviously they can tell someone they trust, tell their teacher, reach out to the guidance counselor, maybe go to the office and speak with an administrator, and then there's us. We're in the schools to protect the students and the staff. So if they see the school resource officer walking around, they can always stop us in the hallway or request us to come to them to speak with them about what's going on, and we'll handle it from there. We teach classes, and in them classes they know how to reach out to us. They know how to kind of understand how they've been bullied, or if they're being bullied, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. That sometimes it may be bullying, sometimes it may not be bullying,
Yes.
and for them to be able to tell the difference between the two.
They would know if when that time comes, if they had to attend a class that we were teaching, they would know by the end of that class the
What bullying
criteria
actually
for
is.
yes.
Okay. And with that in mind, they need to, just like what we just had with National Night Out, it's something where they don't need to be scared of you guys. It's something where you guys are there for their protection. You're there for the teacher's protection. You're there for everybody's protection, and to be there as whatever they kind of need for, then, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're in the school, to protect the kids, the students, and the staff. But we're also there to build relationships. So by the end of that school year, they should know who their SRO, their school resource officer is, and they should have a good working relationship with that school resource officer.
And that title, Tim, we do have resource officers in all of our middle schools and high schools. We just added an additional school resource officers with the Fred Cherry Middle School.
Okay.
And that title of the SRO, School Resource Officer, exemplifies their role. It's a school resource officer, and they're there to be a liaison between the police department and the school. And as Officer Hayward mentioned, that they're there to establish the rapport and build those bonds. And we encourage the students and staff and all citizens. If you see something, say something. And sometimes people think that I don't want to get involved, or this adage of snitches get stitches and things of that nature. But a lot of incidents have been foiled across the country because someone saw something, they mentioned it, and it was investigated. In some cases, they were found to be true, and they stopped the serious incident before it occurred. So that's why we encourage the officers to establish those bonds with the kids, so that kids know that I can come to you with any situation I might have, and this is a resource for the school and the students and staff.
Great. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here today. Do you have anything else that you guys would like to add?
No, we're just looking for another successful, safe year, our goal is to establish safe and secure learning environments for the schools, and we just look forward to working again with the schools and the communities in doing that.
Thank you, Officer Hayward, for being here. Thank you, Sergeant Sparks, for being here. Join us next time for another Safety First.